Check, check. 1, 2. Hello, everybody. We're doing a little quick walkthrough here for you guys interested in character animation or getting your characters to appear as if they are speaking some voiceover words, some audio that you've imported into Animatron. I'll give you an example here. Let me share my screen with you. All right, so you should see the Animatron Editor open. What we have here is a cool little goofy cactus character I came up with some googly eyes attached to him. And then we also have a series of mouth shapes in a layer, in a combined or grouped layer. And each one of these mouth shapes, let me expand my layers here. Each one of these mouth shapes offers a particular sound, or in other words, a phonetic sound or mouth shape that would be made with the sound that you're producing as you're speaking or vocalizing. So as we go through here and you look at the mouth area of my character, from left to right, we have a mouth shape currently on the character that is an MBP mouth phonetic sound, so an b or p p p. So it's you know, your mouth, or sorry, your lips are perched together. Essentially, the shape that your mouth is in while you are vocalizing those sounds. So here's an E. If we go over to the next section, an E is a bit more of an open mouth. An E, it could also be an I sound. And then our third one is L and N, which is this one. So you have a raised tongue to the palate of the mouth, just underneath the top row of teeth. So an ul or an n sound, n, na, 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 something like that. The next one over is an o or an u, and that's a rounded mouth shape. O, u, you know, pretty much anything that has that bellowing sound to it. And here, I'll keep going here. I have this in sequence to match a sound file that I'll play for you in a little bit, but I'll just give you an understanding of what these mouth shapes are. Let me jump back for a second here. So let me just show you what we're working with. I have an audio clip that I have taken from one of my previous sound files. You may be familiar with it, but I'll play through it here. I'll just hit enter for you.
Hello, and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so it's a basic sound file, hello and welcome to Animatron. And you zoom in, I'll play it for you one more time. You can get a better understanding of what's going on.
Hello, and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so we're just trying to mimic the mouth shapes as we go through this audio waveform of me saying hello and welcome to Animatron. So I've created this group layer of mouth shapes, and I'll show you where you can get the resources for these mouth shapes in a second here. But I just wanted to show you that each one of them are in phonetic, different phonetic sounds for each mouth shape. MBP or MBP, E, I or E, L or N or O, U, those sounds. You have an A or an A sound right here. So it's a bit more of an open, wide mouth appearance. Here's a W or an R. So you're actually bringing the outer corners of your mouth closer in with the lips farther apart from top to bottom. So a W or a let's see. I have a bunch of copies here on my layers because I've already spelled them out for you. So here's a T or an S or a T sound. Both basically the teeth coming together. The inside of the mouth is not visible, and the corners of the mouth are wider apart, like in a smile. And then we have two that I didn't use for this entire audio clip. So the two that I didn't use for hello and welcome to Animatron are U and Q. So I'll just unhide this one. This is U. Let me see if I can hide all of them and just unhide this one. All right, so this is this is a U and a Q. It's basically the corners of your mouth and the lips coming together as a more expressive O noise. So it's an or Q. You know, it's that, you know, trying to make those really unique sounds with our mouth. And then F and V is like basically biting your bottom lip with your upper teeth. So it's a f or v. Those sounds are also included in the phonetic sequence. So I keep saying this term phonetic or phoneme. I'll give you an explanation of how you can look for these mouth shapes if you don't know how to create them yourself. Honestly, the best thing you can do is go through a series of sentences and look at yourself in a mirror. And then if you want to be drawing these things down on a piece of paper, you can. And just try to recreate your own mouth shapes. You can even take pictures of yourself and like cut out the mouth shape that you're currently making and then try to recreate that and redraw it. But instead of doing that whole process, that would take me some time. I'm just going to go to Google. Go to do my Google search and I'll just type in mouth phoneme PNG. This is very important. So when I'm looking for my mouth images, I'll go to the image tab because that's all I want to sort through. With mouth phonemes, a phoneme is, again, the phonetic shape of your mouth as you're saying a certain, here's a good one, as you're saying certain shapes, or sorry, as you're saying certain letter variations, the way that your mouth looks as you're saying them. So there's any number of these that you can go through. There's ones with lips. There's ones with teeth. Just like this, what I was talking about before, you can take pictures of yourself and just cut out the lip shapes and use those in your projects. There's more cartoony looking. This is almost the South Park looking mouth shapes. And then you have, where's the one that I was working with? And down the way a bit, I found a really good one because they were in PNG form. Maybe I passed it. So a series of these mouth shapes. Let's see. Oh, I'm not seeing it at the moment, but it was by Digital something or other. I'll just show you the mouth shapes as they appear in my mask. And so I have each one of these mouth shapes masked, and I'll show you the series that I got here. So these are good straight on, meaning that you're looking directly at the character. These are the shapes that you would see generated from a character as you are facing them face to face. So you can see the phonetic sounds of each mouth shape: a, o, e, w or r or w or ta, ta, sa, sa. You know, those toothy kind of sounds. L and N, or an and an O. U or Q. That's a lot of bottom lip pucker. And then MBP, mbp, and then F and V, f and v. So you can get a large amount of sentences recreated by just using these very few sounds. And there's only 9 mouth shapes in here. You'll find phonetic shapes in the listing here that will go up to maybe even 20 different mouth shapes, depending on how complex you want to get with your lip syncing. So there's a good number of them in here you can take a look at and get some good ideas and then start generating your own. Here's one with some buck teeth. So let's go back to our project. So what I did was I imported a PNG file. PNG has the advantage of having no background. It has a transparent background. I don't want to pull in all of the like JPEG images that have a native white background or a solid background. Reason being, if I'm going to overlay this onto my cactus character or my character that I want to have talking, I just want the lips to be showing or the portions of the lips instead of, just being able to see through the lips to the character behind it instead of having to fight around all of the solid background of each one. And this way, with the PNG image, when we go in here to the group layer, I can create a mask. So what I'd end up doing is creating this square mask or rectangular mask. And using the same image, I'll just duplicate the image and the rectangular mask. I can grab the mask and move it into position. And this will now, and once I remask it, this will now select just that mouth shape. So I'm going to undo that because I had it over UQ originally. All right. And then once I've done that, once I have all of those shapes together, I'll give you an example. I'll duplicate this. Let's see, I'll lock everything down so I know I'm not inadvertently disturbing anything. So U and Q, right? That's what I currently have. I'll just call this mount. Well, I'm going to end up breaking it apart anyway. I'll break apart the movie clip so that I can show you how this process works from start to finish. And I'll unmask this. So what I want is just this mouth shape. So I'm working now with just the mouth shapes. I'll hide all the other stuff. We don't need to see it. So currently we have our mouth shapes. Again, they're PNGs. So if I was to move these outside of our canvas area, you don't see a background on it. It's got a transparent background. What I can do is create my rectangular mouth shapes. Create my rectangular masks to mask out each mouth shape. And I'll just encompass one of them with a rectangle. I don't want the A in there. I'll just remind myself that A or this shape is the A sound. And since I have my new shape over the top of my mouth shapes image, I can just select the shape, right click, and mask. And this will mask out the entire image and just give me that one mouth shape. Now, since I already have this together, what I can do is select both of them. I'll just shift select my mouth shapes along with the mask. And I'll hit Control F8. On the Mac would be F8 or Command F8, I believe. So either way, you're going to end up with this movie clip. And the movie clip is a combination of the mask and the original image. That's why when I select this, you see the border is very large compared to just the mouth shape. So there's not really any way that we can get around this other than cutting the image up in another program. To do this quickly in Animatron, I just mask the shape out of the entire image. But now that I have this, remember this is the A sound, so I'll just name this A. I'll name the movie clip itself A. And then I can duplicate this again. I'll just hit the duplicate with my A layer, my A movie clip selected. I'll just hit duplicate. I'll go into the movie clip by clicking on our Edit Group tab on the preview thumbnail next to the layer itself, the layer name. I'll click on this guy, and it will bring me inside of our mouth shapes with the mask over it. So what I can do to quickly go through this is unmask it by clicking on my little blue toggle. I'll move or relocate the rectangle over the next mouth shape, making sure not to get any of the other mouth shapes involved. And then I'll just mask by clicking the toggle back on. And now I have this shape. I just want to make sure that I know which mouth sound this is. Is it an O sound? So I'll make sure to mask it. I'll go back to scene 1 by clicking on my breadcrumb. And then I will rename this group layer O. So now that is my O or O, aw or ooh sounding mouth shape. And I'll do the same process. I'll duplicate it, go into the layer, unmask my rectangular shape, zoom in here to see a little bit more of it, and I'll bring this over to my E sound. I'll reapply the mask with the toggle switch, click that back on. So that's my E sound. I'll go back to scene 1 and rename this layer E. So now that's my E movie clip. And I'll do the same process over and over again. Go into my layer, unmask, move the mask rectangle to the next mouth shape, which is WR. I'll remask it with the toggle switch, go back to scene 1 with my breadcrumbs, and rename my movie clip WR. So now that I'll continue the process until I have all 9 of them together. But simply, all you have to do is once you have all of the mouth shapes masked, you can shift select every single one of them. So I have all 4 of these mouth shapes selected in a group, all the layers selected together, and I'll click on this little combine layers button. So this will keep all of my mouth shapes, and I'll just rename this mouth shape test because I already have one combined layer with all the mouth shapes in it. So now that these are combined, they're all nested into the same group. And what this does for us is it keeps all of the mouth shapes in one spot, but it also allows us to open it, go to each layer, and drag it into one position. So you want to get the hang of, or you want to get in the habit of making sure that all of these mouth shapes are in more or less the same area or position to each other, so that when you go from one mouth shape to another, right, the O, we'll bring this here, and I'll line it up with the bottom of the lip. And then my E, which one is this? Here, my W and my R, and I'll line it up with the bottom of the lip, somewhere around there. So I just centered all of them over the top of each other. That way, if I wanted to, I could, go through these and move them along my timeline, so that when I hear that sound for W or R or E or O or A, I can just reposition it, reposition my time band for the A sound, and then put it where it needs to be. So my first one, the first word that is said is hello. And you might notice, I'll go back into my completed group layer here of mouth shapes. So you might notice that there is no H. There is no H sound. The H sound is more or less a silent sound that we make with our mouths. It just comes from the back of the mouth or from the throat, technically, just pushing air through to the front of our mouth. So there is no H sound in hello. So what we'll start with is MBP, so MBP, or we can think of this as resting. So you might even want to go in here and change this to MBP and maybe put into caption resting. So this is your resting mouth shape. Let me hide all the other ones. There we go. Okay, so the only ones we're seeing at the moment are going to be the ones at 0 seconds, which is MBP. So starting with the resting shape, you never want to really start your character off in a position unless that is their mouth's resting shape. So from resting shape, I'll zoom in as far as I can get with my time slider, and I'll scrub through and I'll try to sound it out as best I can. Hello. So I'll start with an E. Again, the H sound is silent, so we don't have that shape. So I just move directly onto the E, or the S sound, hello. So I'll put the E as my next layer up. And then we go to L, hello. Since hello is a double L or an extended L, you can have this play out for longer, hello, but it depends on how long you're saying each syllable for. Hello or hello. You know, that would change based on the timing of how long the O or the L or the E stays on the screen. So ELO, ELO, and that spells out my hello. So from resting face, or from resting mouth rather, from our MVP, we'll move on to an E for and then L for hello, and then O again is the end of this word. So hello. So let me take my scene duration flag, and we can test this out as we go through each word. Again, I'll zoom in all the way, and I'll just go to the end of my O. I'll hit enter. Oop. I have the audio clip hidden, which silences it. So if I unhide it, go back down to my ELO here, hit enter.
Hello.
Right?
Hello.
Hello. Excuse me. And then once you're done stating a word, let's say hello, I'm going back to my resting mouth shape. So it goes back to MVP. So I'll just do MVP again, resting. And this is a copy, so I'll just name it copy 1, so that I don't lose the original mouth shape if we decide to change it somehow later on, or rotate the mouth or something later on in the sentence or throughout the project. So hello again ends at our resting mouth. So from resting mouth, hello to resting mouth. All right. So that's the hello for that period of time. Obviously, if we wanted to change the amount of time that this mouth shape stays visible, we can change the end action of each layer. So this is the end action. You basically just hold down left click on it and drag it out. If there is a keyframe for it, generally there should not be any keyframe for it. But what you can do is right click, change end action and end, and it will bring the endpoint back to that section. So it'll only stay visible on the screen from 0.125 seconds to 0.375. And that's the amount of time that our O sound extends for before we go back to resting mouth. And then we'll go up to our next word, hello and welcome. So we're on our and. So as you can see here, we have an A mouth sound, and then an L or an N sound, which are about the same. So it's an N with the tongue to the top, to the roof of the mouth, and then D. But what you don't see is the D. The D is implied when you say and, right? And the D is just the flick of the tongue off of the palate of your mouth. So that, again, we can count as a silent phoneme. But you can actually have another variation of this mouth shape with the tongue looking as if it's flicking off the teeth, and that would be your D shape. But since we don't have D, we can just cancel it out altogether. The beauty about animation is that the speed at which your mouth changes shapes helps you to piece these words together, because you don't have to show every single mouth shape along the way unless you're going for a high frame per second accuracy. So when you're trying to fool your viewer into thinking that this character is talking, certain mouth sounds don't have to be fully pronounced. You can just go from one word to the next. So what you'll see here is we have and without the D, A-N. And then we move up the list to welcome, right? W-E-L. Again, we don't have a C sound. That is also a complementary sound, a k-k-k, again, with your tongue to the back of your throat. So that also is not included in my list of vocal sounds here. So I'll skip the C and go to O. So it's welcome, and it's the O sound. So what I'll do is move to the end, and M, right? We have M is our resting mouth also. So we can just stop the word at M, and it will appear as if it is completing the welcome sound. So I'll go back to 0. I'll extend my layers here so you can see the entire word as it appears in layers. And I'll zoom in on my mouth a bit more. There we go. Line this up so you can see it as it's playing through these layers. So again, from resting, we have hello, which is E-L-O, hello. And then we have back to resting. And, because there's a pause, right? Resting because there's a pause between hello, and A-N, right? D is silent, so it's just A-N. And then welcome, W-E-L. The C is silent, or C is a very very little pronounced or very little shown phonetic change in your mouth shape. So we don't have one. So it's welcome without the C. O, M, and M is our resting, again, is one of our resting shapes. So that we're just going to stop the word there. And as I play through, you'll see the mouth shape, the way they look.
Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome.
Welcome, right? All right, and then because welcome to is said one right after the other, there is no break between them. We can just go directly to the end of to, and we have a T shape, right? That's our T shape, and then our O shape, to, welcome to. All right, and I'll play through this again. So hello and welcome to.
Hello and welcome.
To.
Hello and welcome.
And you'll notice that sometimes you can see the break, or that there is some audio. The pacing of the audio to the mouth shape may be a little bit different. So what we can do is refine the amount of time that the O shape is held in place, or the T shape.
Okay.
Right. So what you're going to get in the habit of doing is going back to the beginning, back to the 0 part, and hitting enter, and just visually trying to find out which section in our timeline is when the mouth shape would be a T or an O, or then we have welcome to Animatron. So the next word is Animatron. If we don't hear Animatron happen within this time segment, you'll notice I've been moving my scene duration flag back and forth here. It's so that when we play it back to hear it, we can find out where the end of those words are. So I'll hit enter.
Hello and welcome.
Right, so we don't even get to Animatron yet, and I already have A and N inside of this field. So what I can do is move my A back, and I'll move my A there, and then my N, I'll move back one further. And then again, in sequence, this should look like your mouth shapes should happen in sequence, one after another. So I'll just keep moving these back. I'll change some of the end keyframe points so that they smush together a little bit better. And if we find out that some of these letters are being pronounced too fast, we can extend them out using our little time bands here. I'll just keep moving these until I'm satisfied with how this appears. All right, so this is our O, welcome to, and then the animatron at the end of this. So I'll drag my O out to the end. And then I'll look for that sweet spot where the T starts and the O ends and turns into the A in our animatron. So welcome to, right? So you can actually just recall the voiceover that's being spoken. Hello and welcome to, right? So you can just scrub through and actually see if these mouth shapes are making any sense as far as how we hear them. And then ultimately you just go back to 0, hit enter.
Hello and welcome.
Right, so the T almost sounds as if it's not being pronounced fast enough. So let's play through here again.
And welcome.
Right, and if we want to hear the continuation of this, I'll just grab my scene duration flag and I'll move it forward a bit so I can hear a bit more of the animatron word. And then I'll hit play.
And welcome to. Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so obviously some of these letters are lagging when you hear animatron.
Hello and welcome to Animatron.
Okay, so that's something that we're going to have to fix along the way.
Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so the O appears to be staying on for a little too long. So I'm going to bring the end of the O, or where the O actually ends, or the O shape in the mouth, and I'll bring the A forward. Animatron. So I'll just try to get each one of these layers to kind of an equivalent length. And then once I have an equivalent length for the entire word, that's when I can start making decisions of which sounds are lasting longer through the word. So animatron, maybe the O is going to hang for a bit longer, or depending on how fast I'm actually saying it, we can extend each one of these mouth shapes out. So again, play back. You'll get the habit of doing this often.
Hello and welcome to Animatron. Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so the T is lagging. I can tell that the T is lagging, so I'll drag it. Oops. I'll select the T on the time band. Oop, this is the T here. And I'll drag this up a little bit so it starts ahead. And let's try shortening this and then shortening that. And this is our R sound. So I'll shorten this up and then I'll bring the O forward. And I'll bring the N forward. So again, let's see if our animatron sound works for us.
Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right,
Hello,
it's looking a little bit better.
Welcome to Animatron. Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so the O may be occurring a little too quick also. So I'll reset my L and my N. My N happens pretty quick. My O doesn't last for a very long time. Play through again.
Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right, this is my R sound. So I'll extend it a little bit, maybe match it with my T. And maybe the T sound has to extend for a little bit. And again, play through.
Hello and welcome to Animatron. Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so it happens to be a lot about spacing and timing each one of these mouth shapes out. So let's see if we can actually get the Tron to work. Again, Tron starts here, the end of animatron. So let's see if we can get that to space out accurately.
Hello and welcome to Animatron. Hello and welcome to Animatron.
All right, so this is our T. And maybe the T lasts for too long, and maybe the A has to be longer. Animatron. So,
hello, and welcome to Animatron.
Or maybe vice versa. Maybe the T occurs sooner. We'll just do some rescaling here. Let's see if that did it.
Hello, and welcome to Animatron.
Yeah,
Hello,
it's getting closer.
Animatron.
So you can spend a lot more time narrowing this down, but essentially that's all you're doing is spacing out each one of these mouth sounds and the shapes and trying to ultimately get this mouth to appear as if it is saying those words in our snippet of audio. So you'll see that this will become a little bit tedious over time, especially if you're a bit more of a perfectionist when it comes to having these vocals really appear as if they're being spoken.
Hello, and welcome to Animatron.
All right. And you'll also have that audio clip stuck on your head for some time. So, so take your time on these. If you end up not using any of the mouth shapes that were provided from the images or the resources that you found for those phonetic shapes, the mouth shapes, just hide them on your timeline and keep all of them in this group layer. That way you can always minimize the group layer and move the whole group layer as one, so that if we had our cactus visible, and here, let me reposition our layers panel. So if we had our character visible and we wanted to change the way that the mouth was moving, we could actually select the whole object. You see where the mouth shape actually is. Again, because the original image of the mouth shape was on one picture and we just masked them all out, is exactly why we have all of these image boundaries, because they're all masked over the top of each other. But with them selected, you can always move them wherever you need them to be, on the character, off the character, on a different character. And then lastly, you can always save just the mouth shapes to your project library. So go to your little marketplace icon, project library, and select your mouth shapes and hit this little plus button. What's going to happen is, because they're in a group layer, it's going to put each one of the mouth shapes on its own layer in the project library. If you didn't want it this way, you wanted them in a group layer, you can right click and convert to movie clip. And what this does is it puts it on its own canvas, so that when you go into it, you'll see those mouth shapes as you've created them. So the process would be, bring it to the same level as the audio, so that you can match it up with the audio, how it's spoken, and then group it, and then add it to your project library. And this way, if you needed that those particular mouth shapes later for another character or the same character in a different scene, you can just drag and drop the mouth shapes.
Hello, and welcome to Animatron.
All right, and you already have that vocal in there, and you can choose to just remove all the vocals and then reposition them later by going to our layer and right-clicking and breaking apart the movie clip. And this spits them all out onto their own individual layers. And since they're all selected, you can just click on Combine Layers, and it puts them right back in their own layer, their own grouped layer. You just have to rename them. So that's about it on how to have your characters essentially lip sync to your voiceover audio. And I will be covering also in the future how to have your characters independently move. So there's a process for animation that you can either do the lip sync first if you are trying to synchronize the vocals to the character that is animating in your scene. You can either do the lip sync first, or you can do the body movements first. I've heard many animators do it different ways. Honestly, it doesn't particularly matter unless you're going for a particular body movement that matches the mouth shape, or vice versa. So it really is up to you as the animator, as the designer of your little character here, which one you do first, either the lip sync or the character animation itself. So look into that, and also look into some other lip syncing tutorials on YouTube. And I'm sure there's more than enough to go through for you to get familiar with how to use this technique in Animatron. But in Animatron, that's essentially how you would do it, how you would save the mouth shapes, where you would resource them from on Google Images. And then, as always, if you wanted to, you can always draw your own mouth shapes and save those for later use if you wanted to do the same thing with different mouth phonetic mouth shapes or phonetic mouth sounds. So that's about it. Remember to like and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Animatron is your go-to for all of your animation needs. So please join me again next time that we have anything else to show you guys. I mean, send in your suggestions, your requests for any of these quick little walkthroughs or tutorials, and I'll try to process these as quick as I can for you guys. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time, hopefully on our weekly Animatron webinars. So long. Have a good one.